Hello everyone, this is MC Deck Discussions and I'm OhBSmall, and today I am going to share with you my draft picks for a limited environment tournament. Solo Marvel Champion by this time has already put out his video, so please check that out. I'll be sure to link his video in my video description. So in that video he shared his draft picks. So what we're doing is we're running a limited environment tournament, and each of us of course we all get the core box because limited environment includes the core box, and usually you get 3 of the large expansion boxes, but with 4 of us running in this tournament, and those 4 being Jeff of Facing the Encounter, Jacen Sketch, Solo Marvel Champion, and myself, OhBSmall, of MC Deck Discussions. So with there being 4 of us, that meant we could actually only get 2 of these big box expansions, which I really liked how this is even more limited than the limited environment rules. I think that actually works out really nicely. So we get 2 of them instead of the 3 that you're permitted, and we end up getting we get 8 hero packs instead of the 10 that you're normally permitted. So I wanted to go ahead and go through my picks and explain, what I was shooting for through my picks. If you look at them right now, you can probably tell that mine are mutant oriented, but my real goal was actually to get Psylocke. I haven't played Psylocke on my channel yet. Psylocke's one of my favorite heroes to play, and so I really wanted to get Psylocke just because I haven't played her in so long. But I also knew that for my first pick, I wanted to get, an expansion box that would be able to, go along well with Psylocke. So I was hoping for Next Evolution, and I was lucky enough that after Jeff, Jacen, and Solo chose for their first round, that I still had Next Evolution ready, and so that was my first pick, and I was able to get it. Now, the reason I specifically wanted Next Evolution is because I wanted the personal side schemes, or the player side schemes. So let me go ahead and show you why that is. All right, and here actually you can get a sneak preview of the first deck that I'm going to be running up against Juggernaut, although I'm going to do a separate video on this where I want to discuss that. But what I wanted to mention was, if you look at Psylocke, she is a Psionic and X-Force. So I was particularly looking for something that could allow me to go with X-Force, because I like having good resource generators. And if you take a look at the one that's meant for most of the mutants, so let me go ahead and bring that one up, right? So that would be the X-Jet. Okay, let's type that in here. So the X-Jet, and you'll notice that the X-Jet is, it exhausts the X-Jet, generate a wild resource for a player whose identity has the X-Men trait. So it doesn't work for these particular mutants, the X-Force mutants. So I wanted to be able to get player side schemes so that I could pull in instead Quinn Carrier. So let's grab, okay, so Quinn Carrier. Okay. And I like the player side schemes a lot as it is, but if you look at Quinn Carrier, right, it's play only if your identity has the Avenger trait, which of course I don't. Psylocke doesn't have the Avenger trait, but if you use a player side scheme, build support, then you can get in any support. You can cheat in a support that you wish to that costs 3 or less. But notice this resource generator here, Exhaust Quinn Carrier, generate a wild resource. Plus, Quinn Carrier is really nice because you can, it's not a hero resource, so you can use it on your alter ego side as well. So I wanted to be able to, at least at the times when I want to get Quinn Carrier, I would have the ability to do that. So that was why I was really shooting for that box. But in addition, that box had some extra benefits. Okay, and if we go to Hall of Heroes and we check out Next Evolution, we can see that it had Cable, and Cable is also X-Force. But in addition to that, Cable has some cards that are psionic cards that came with him. So let's scroll down to some of those important ones. Oh, also had Call for Backup, another player side scheme that I really was hoping to get to. So increase my chances to get, somebody like Nick Fury or whatever ally that I wanted in play, and also lock and load, right? But in addition, he comes with Power of the Mind. So you can double the number of resources this card generates while paying for a psionic card. and Psylocke has plenty of psionic cards to play, and of course, so does, once if I'm getting Cable, then I get the benefit of having those for him too. Okay. And then, and this card, I was hoping for this card too. Actually, in my mind, I had forgotten that Scimitar is also restricted, so I actually can't play it with Psylocke. However, I can play it with the other ones, the other psionic heroes that I did end up getting. Like I said, Cable isn't psionic to begin with, but can become psionic. So I was hoping to be able to play this too, originally with Psylocke, but I had forgotten I can't. Psylocke already has 2 restricted permanent weapons that come in the kit. All right. But that was my main reason for wanting to get Next Evolution, and because I was 4th pick. So let's go back to the draft. All right. So I was 4th pick, and it's a snake draft, so that meant I would immediately get a 2nd pick, so I could pick up Psylocke right after that. Now, the part of the rules of this draft is you could not get 2 big box expansions in a row for your picks. So that's why I chose Next Evolution first, and then Psylocke, and then that way when it came back around to me, so Psylocke for my round 2 pick, and then when it came back to me for round 3, I was able to get my next big box expansion. Now, I was actually shooting for a different one than this, but Mutant Genesis was the backup one that I had in mind. The one that I actually wanted as my first pick was, let's see, what's that one called? It's the other mutant box. Let me go check out which one that is. Yes, it was Age of Apocalypse. So that was the one that I wanted next. I really like Bishop a lot, and it also would have allowed me to grab, who's the other? Also Magic. So 2 other great heroes that I love. And then maybe I would have also shot for ones that had Mystic traits, but I didn't end up getting that. So I shot for what I thought was the next best one, which is a very good second one, I think. And as you saw, let's go ahead and go back to my draft pick. Actually, I'll just stay here instead. On Hall of Heroes was Mutant Genesis, right? So Mutant Genesis, the very first pack, right, that had the very first big box that was for mutants, and one of the big cards that I really wanted, including, by the way, I can get Nightcrawler and Polaris as allies, right? And some of these other great cards as well. But I really wanted to be able to get a hold of Professor X. And if I continue to expand out for more mutants, which this box alone has some mutants, then the X-Jet is also included in here. So those were, the Professor X was a big one that I really wanted to make sure I was able to get a hold of, so that, because I do love going to Alter Ego with my heroes, and for Psylocke, I for sure wanted to be able to go to Alter Ego for her bigger hand size. Hand size of 6, she only has a hand size of 4 on her hero side. So for sure I wanted Professor X. So that was a big reason for me to be able to get this box, as well as some more, other mutant type of things. Because that also gave me, there it is, right? Also gives me Shadowcat, right? So more, another mutant in here. And then able to get, the Wolverine ally and Magic ally, the attack training cards, right? So this gave me, so I can increase the attack and hit points. So I'm going to be able to run some heavy ally decks and be able to, increase their ability too. And I get Team Strike, toe-to-toe. So there's lots of great things coming in this pack. X-Mansion, right? Ready to Rumble, very happy with my pick here. So I felt like I really lucked out right off the bat because nobody else had gone this direction. So I was able to get, Next Evolution, the hero I wanted, Psylocke, and Mutant Genesis to support that. And then Storm also has some great cards to support that as well. And then Wolverine, Iceman, Magneto. I'm just going to go ahead and show these heroes, kind of all together in a little bit, so you can see what it is that I was shooting for in each one of these. And originally I chose Thor as well. And the reason for choosing Thor, and then I'll name the other mutant characters as well. So Phoenix and Rogue, right? So all of those to really build out for all the mutant type things, both with the X-Force and X-Men. And then, but I had chosen Thor, and as you can see, I ended up trading with Solo Marvel Champion for Black Widow. So I'll explain why I was willing to make that trade. So Solo Marvel Champion was really wanting Thor. But so here's why I originally wanted Thor, and you can see why Black Widow made for a good substitute for that. All right, so I wanted Thor for 1 card. So if we scroll on down here, I'll get to that card. Though there were some other cards here and there that I thought, oh, okay, these could be good cards if I end up wanting them. You know, we got Mean Swing mixed into here, Hall of Heroes, and Battle Fury, so all good cards, and Yarnbjorn, right? Another great card. And again, it's restricted, so it can't go with Psylocke, but very good with some other heroes. Okay, but this card right here, so Under Surveillance. So if I'm going to go to Alter Ego and wanted to go there safely when I'm in Justice, then I wanted to be able to get Under Surveillance for that. But Black Widow has some nice substitutions that work for this in addition to some other good cards. So this is why I was willing to make the trade. So let's go take a look also at Black Widow so you can see what did I use that substituted for Under Surveillance that could be almost as good as it, sometimes better actually. All right, so if we scroll on down here and take a look at some of the cards Black Widow comes with, we get Agent Coulson, and Agent Coulson has that ability to bring in a preparation card, which, by the way, I got some other preparation cards that I really wanted. Okay, so, in addition, so that preparation card that I was really looking for was Counterintelligence. So Counterintelligence is almost as good, right? It only prevents 3 threat instead of increasing, a scheme up to 4, right? And so, but you can use this multiple times, and therefore it could, prevent multiple instances of 3 threat from going on the main scheme. So it could potentially be better in preventing it from going down. So plus you get that combination with Agent Coulson, where you play Agent Coulson, get one of these to your hand. Okay? But on top of that, I could get some other Justice cards like Stealth Strike to be able to deal some damage and remove some threat at the same time. And just as importantly to me, getting Rapid Response, so I could be able to play that in my leadership decks. And then also being able to get Counterattack, right? So you can be able to, this can actually deal quite a bit of damage to the villain using this. Of course, you can use it against any enemy, but there's a potential to do very big damage in that way with Counterattack. All right, so these were the main ones, but Rapid Response being a big one, and as well as, like I said, Counterintelligence. So those were the big ones in there, and especially when we have, combined with Agent Coulson to be able to get Counterintelligence in. Okay. All right, so then let's take a look at those various mutant heroes that I picked up and the kind of cards that I got with them that I was excited about getting, or, some of them, the heroes themselves. A lot of them, the heroes themselves, I was also excited about picking up. So first there was Storm, who comes with a slew of great cards. So first of all, Pixie is a great card, right? So that you can play Pixie from your hand, be able to get an X-Men character back into your hand. And then Uncanny X-Men, an all-star card in here, right? To be able to, so one of the best cards that's out there as a support. And then one of my favorite upgrades, actually, Leadership Skill. So these are great cards for throwing out there just to enhance what you're doing, getting the +1 thwart and +1 attack for an action, and you can use it 3 times. So you don't have to exhaust it. So if you have multiple allies out there, you can use, you could be able to get +1/+1 on multiple allies in that particular turn. Okay. Has To Me My X-Men, has Forge, who can help you get the X-Jet, Utopia, and X-Mansion, has a copy of Endurance, which I don't remember if that's in the core set or not, but if it's not, no matter what, it's a good card that you get here. So those were the cards that I was really looking for from her. So Storm is just a hugely valuable pick in this case. So I was really glad I was able to get her next. And then after Storm, I think that was Wolverine. Okay, and Wolverine comes with a number of great cards. So we have, let's see, Psylocke and Sunfire, a great combination of allies and aggression. We've got Warrior Skill mixed in here, Precision Strike, to be able to deal some damage and also heal some mean swings. We've got the Colossus Ally, and we also have Weapon X. And also Fastball Special, which if I remember correctly, I would be able to use this because I think I do have the well, first of all, there was Wolverine and the Colossus Ally. So that, yes, so I would be able to use Fastball Special, right? So all kinds of, which I consider to be one of the best cards of these team-up cards. Wait, is that one the team-up card? Yes, one of my favorite team-up cards there is. Okay, so another great addition to my lineup, I thought. And then for the next one would be Iceman. And Iceman, again, has some great cards, including team building exercise. So let's go to Iceman next. All right, now there were two main cards that I was thinking of for Iceman, including to just being able to get Iceman, but there are actually quite a few really great cards in the Iceman pack. So if we go down here, first of all, we have some really good upgrades here that attach. So attached to a minion here, when you attack and defeat that attached minion, heal 2 damage from your hero. So that's a really nice one. But so also is Surprise Move and Event, right? When you make a basic attack against an enemy with an upgrade attached, you get +2 ATK for this attack. And if it defeats that, you again get to ready your hero. So these are some really great ones for Iceman in particular. And then on top of that, we have Keep Up the Pressure, so another player side scheme. And then Shadowcat and Beak, two very good ones. I especially like Beak, but the main thing I was coming in here for was team building exercise, being able to get copies of that, and also the Power in All of Us. So a great card for basic, when you have a bunch of those basic allies, and of course your basic supports as well. Right, so that's what I was. So again, I felt like I had a really rich choice here. Plus, I just really like Iceman a lot to begin with to play as a hero. Okay, all right. Then after that is Magneto. So Magneto in his own right, I just really like Magneto to begin with. But let's go ahead and check what other bonuses Magneto comes with. All right, so Magneto comes with some more really great cards to go with your X-Men type decks. So we get down here, we have M, who's a really great ally in addition to Kid Omega. So a couple of just fantastic allies. And then Phoenix, pretty good, but also Cyclops, another great one. So 3 of these 4 are fantastic, and then Phoenix is a solid one. In addition, we have some nice cards to experiment with, for particular decks such as Squared Off, which can bring in minions, and then we also have Noble Sacrifice. So a couple of those are some other great cards. I actually particularly like Noble Sacrifice there. And we also have White Queen, which is a great one you can play if you have X-Force or X-Men trait, and after White Queen enters play, discard a status card from your character. So I actually really like White Queen quite a bit. In addition, we also get Deft Focus out of this. So we can play those superpower cards, and we get another player side scheme with new recruits that can potentially bring us any of these 4 recruits. And we also have the 1-cost support Children of the Atom that can give, all of your characters X-Factor, X-Force, and the X-Men character trait too. So my X-Force heroes could actually get the X-Men trait if that's what I so desired. All right, let's look for the next hero. All right, and next, this late in the draft, I felt really lucky to be able to pick up Phoenix because I was able to flesh out some more my, my psionic cards, right? So if we scroll on down here, we'll see we got some really great psionic cards that came with that Phoenix had, but also, by the way, mission training. So another great attachment for allies, since I'm going to be running probably quite a few allies in my decks, generally speaking, then I'm going to be able to enhance my allies with +1 thwart and +2 hit points. But then we also have these psionic cards. So we've got the Psychic Manipulation card, the one for Justice, right? So when the villain interrupt, when the villain schemes, this activation removes threat instead of placing it. Notice it's an interrupt, so you can do on either the hero side or on the alter ego side. Then we also have, Mutant Peacekeepers here. One cost event, exhaust your hero and any number of X-Men allies, remove X threat from among schemes in play where X is the total thwart of those characters. So you get to add them all together. It means you're able to save some of your allies and not damage them. We'll see if I actually end up using that. We end up with Storm, Cerebro, but here we go. Here are some of the other great cards. Psychic Assault, so that means we also have this, deal 3 damage to an enemy, confuse that enemy, so we have some more confusion of enemies when we're in aggression. Then we also have Psychic Misdirection, so we also have a protection one of these events. So a defensive event, it is a hero interrupt. When an enemy attacks you, choose a different enemy. Damage from that attack is dealt to that chosen enemy instead of you. I'm not sure if I'll use that one or not, but this one is for sure going to be used in my first deck, and that's the 0 cost Psychic Kicker for leadership. Ready an ally, that ally gets +2 thwart, +2 ATK for its very next basic thwart or attack in this phase. Okay, so those were the main cards there that I was looking for here. So I was able to flesh out those psionic cards. And then lastly is Rogue. Right? So Rogue, again, gives me some really nice cards to flesh out my these X-Men decks, including some protection allies like Iceman, Karma, and Armor. For me, in particular, I like Armor, but Iceman too. Also, it gives me access to Inflappable, a great card, I think, for Iceman in particular. Some Preemptive Strike too, not today, so all kinds of good combinations there. Moira McTaggart to be able to add to the card draw. And this was actually one of the cards I was really looking for here was this X-Gene. A lot of the heroes that I have quite a few events. And, so and all you have to do is have the mutant trait to play it. So you would play it in your alter ego side to get that when you have the mutant trait. But then it's just a resource generator after that for generating a wild resource for an identity specific event. So I thought of it as, okay, here's, if nothing else, I've got something else to really help play those events to make them easier to play in my decks. Okay, and that's it. So there's the whole rundown of all the ones that I picked. Let me go ahead and show you the summary of them. So you just kind of recap them real fast. All right, so my 2 big boxes were Next Evolution and Mutant Genesis. And then for my hero packs, I had Psylocke, Storm, Wolverine, Iceman, Magneto, Black Widow, Phoenix, and Rogue. And remember, we also get the heroes in the core set, right? So the 5 heroes that come in the core set, in addition to, the heroes that came in Next Evolution and Mutant Genesis, right? So in Next Evolution, I ended up getting Cable and actually, I realized I forgot to show off Domino. So Cable and Domino comes in Next Evolution, which means with Domino, some of the cards I care about there is we can get a hold of Overwatch, right? That can be able to help out with some of that. But also we get access to all the things that you really care about with Domino, such as White Fox. We've got the Superpower Training in here, one of the other cards that I definitely wanted. We've got Sharpshooter, Digging Deep, right? So some of those other excellent cards from there. And then in Mutant Genesis, we had access to 2 more of those heroes, which would have been Colossus and Shadowcat. Let me make sure I showed off the cards I wanted to there. Yeah, so Colossus, I showed off those for Colossus, and then Shadowcat also had Wolverine. I mentioned these 2. Yeah. Okay, excellent. All right, so that's it. So there's the recap, and I'll let you at the end here just kind of see all of them if you want to look at them again. Okay, very good. So very excited about this tournament. Our first villain we're going up against is Juggernaut, and I've already built my first deck for that. So we get pick 2 heroes to go up against them. We're going to play against them in Standard and Expert, and then we have a number of different ways that we accumulate points each week for those heroes. So I'll talk about that probably as I go through the decks. And I imagine some of the videos from Solo Marvel Champion or Jacen Sketch or Facing the Encounter, Jeff and Facing the Encounter. So I imagine, you'll hear those talked about possibly in their videos as well. Okay, so hope you like this kind of content. And if you do, please like and subscribe if you haven't already. And love to have conversations with people in the discussion. Oh, I should mention one last thing. I just realized a lot of you probably won't hear this because it's at the very end, but we actually do want to expand this out. We're already getting interest from other people who aren't content creators, and we do want to be able to make this available to the community. Not this particular one, right? But we want to be able to, hopefully after we finish this and we kind of flesh out all of the rules of the tournament, that we can make that easy for us to then, run other tournaments with other content creators, but also with anybody else in the community who's interested in being part of this. Okay, excellent. So that's it. Have a great one, everybody.